You can ask as many direct questions, and I suggest that you do, okay? And this was recently, 2 years ago?
Yeah, we're still dating.
Oh, yeah. Stormy's very complex, all right? Hard to figure out, all right? You don't always know what Stormy's thinking. You don't always know motivations, what makes things happen, what makes things take place, although there is a highest regard or a great love here, all right? This individual keeps trying to figure out what they want in terms of what am I going to do when I grow up with my life. A lot of confusion about goals, a lot of confusion about purposes, what I should be doing, what I should not be doing, running my own business, further education, directions to go, lots of avenues, and has a lot of confusion probably until 93. Okay? So in 93, this individual is going to decide at that point what they want to do with their lives in terms of work. But prior to that, not a whole lot of clarity. All right? Where you're going to tend to know more where you want to go, what you want to do with your life, what's important to you, this person will not have a lot of that foresight. All right? So it's real important to remember that they won't be as directed in knowing what's happening. And at times it's going to cause a great deal of confusion for you. Because along with when someone doesn't know where their business is going, they usually don't know what they want to do with their personal life either.
Right. So where do you see as far as us in the future?
I don't think that this person is not going to stop seeing you. The relationship will continue to take place. You, as your friend, you do know the girl that was here before, do you not? Have a common denominator as you could very well outgrow this person. All right? The tendency for you to mature quicker is here. And I think that you will choose not to make this a long-term relationship. I think you will have an opportunity to. I'm not telling you that. See, I don't see it going anyplace yet. I just see probably for the next year it continues to do what it's doing now. I don't think you have any decision to make one way or the other for another year's period of time. I think probably by 93, sometime in 93, you're going to be saying, now wait a minute. If we're going to make this a commitment, let's start talking about it. If we're going to do something here, let's do something. Either shit or get off the pot, but do something. All right? And I think in 93, towards the end of 93, you're going to be saying, are we going to marry or are we not? Where is this going? And I think that if you're not the verbal person, this individual isn't going to make a commitment one way or the other. I think that this individual very likely would make a commitment if you would say, now, we really need to do something here. My biological clock is saying, let's get married. I'm here. And I think that if you don't say anything, the tendency for you just to exit this relationship in 93, the end of 93, is very strong. But by the beginning of 93, if you start deciding what you want, and you say, these are the stands that I take, this is what I want to do, this is what's going on, these are my goals, these are my, this is what's in my life, I think you could very well have this turnaround where it can be a commitment. See, baby, you tend to stand back and watch things and not say much. Do you understand that? You're a great watcher. You're going to stand back and give everybody enough rope to hang themselves. And in this situation, if you don't say what you need from it, you're not going to get it. I don't think it's impossible for this person to give you commitment and that type of thing. I think the situation here is you're waiting for them to volunteer it, and they're waiting for you to say it. And as long as it goes in the way that it's going now, it doesn't take a psychic to tell you one day you're going to get up and say, thank you so much, but no thanks. You know. And I say that if you don't change this around by 93, by the beginning, January, February of 93, by saying, we've been going together for 4 years now, we've had this much time together, where are we going in a relationship? I'm not asking that we get on the marriage train tomorrow, but I'm saying, where are we going? Mm-hmm. And if you don't take that stance by the end of 93, you won't want it. You won't want this relationship. It won't be important to you. And so each of you are overcoming an issue here. Your lack of direct communication and his lack of direct communication. Someone has to be the first to say, this is what's happening. All right? So here's what I say. You're definitely together another year. All right? I think this can turn into a permanent relationship if you become verbal by the spring of 93. If you do not become verbal by the spring of 93, by the fall of 93, you will not want this relationship and will meet someone else by the winter of 93. Right through December, through March, 93, 94. Definitely marriage surrounds you within 2 to 2.5 years. Right. I don't think it's 2.5 months. I feel like we're talking 2.5 year period of time. Commitment in a relationship, making a relationship happen. If they're children, I don't pick them up right now. Doesn't mean there couldn't be. It just means I don't get them. I think what you're learning right now is what you want from things. I think that's your learning lesson, is to be more verbal what you want and how you can have a happier life by getting what you want out of it. Okay. Questions? What do you want to ask?
I don't know. You pretty much answered most of them about, where it's going.
Now you understand, I think you're in love with each other. I don't see that as being a problem.
Right.
And I think you basically get along real well. The only thing is that it's, the way that I see this, I want to imagine that both of you have your ships tied up to the dock, right? And you're both waiting there waiting for the other one to go over and untie their boat first. So you're sitting there. Nobody goes over to untie that boat. But yet you're satisfied with the relationship. Neither one of you are looking for other partners. There's not a lot of negatives around this. I think there's a lot of love here. I think that basically his inability to know what he wants to do with his life has affected his inability to know when he's ready to make a commitment. So far you've sat back and just let him do what he wants to do. By 93, it's time for you to say, now, you may not be the next nuclear scientist, or you may not be a gardener, but whatever you're going to be, I want to know whether you intend to make that in my life or not. And I think that if you do that, this can lead to commitment in marriage. Okay?
Okay.
All right, take that one off the table. This dad?
Yeah.
Dad got heart problems?
No. Well,
I get very tight in the heart, respiratory, circulatory system. Heart, lungs, there's going to be some kind of problem or impairment that he's going to be experiencing. Lots of tremendous amount of stress around father. Work is just not going well. Things are not good financially in that area. All right? There's a tremendous amount of stress that this person is under. Reorganization around where he works, what's going on. If he's not working for himself, he has to be in a position of authority. There's some kind of decision making he will do on the job that will bring pressure to him. There's a lack of communication that your father does. He doesn't always talk about what he wants, what he needs, what's important to him. And at times doesn't even know what he wants or needs. Questions? What would you like to ask?
Do you see him being in a situation where I'm going to be taking care of him?
Baby, he looks as if there's major heart attack or major stroke that will surround him.
It's very likely.
All right, it does read that way. But baby, if you're talking how long, it'd be hard to tell. He has created himself into such a loner.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That, this is a type of man that will go a long time being sick before he gives into it. You could be looking within 3 years, or you could be looking within 8. If it's right away, I'd be real surprised. Okay? Let me say to you, too, your father doesn't really want people to take care of him. He doesn't want to be close enough to anyone. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
To do that? There'll be a great objection on his part to receive help, just as there has been to receive love.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not saying that your father is a bad person, but he's just very locked in his own self. And half of it is fear of rejection that makes him not love. Don't let me get too close, want too much, love you too much, because I'm going to force you to go away. I can be very indifferent. I can be very nasty at times. And I say that your dad may not take help at first. And he's the one that has to come to terms that if there is going to be help given, he has to be ready to receive it and willing. And that means being kinder to people, and more receptive to their needs emotionally and what they need, what can be done. These are the things that I think that you need to look at.
Okay. Wow. All right.
So that's my feeling here.
Okay.
That's what I think is going on. What would you like to ask about him? If you're ever thinking, see, baby, I'm not sure that your dad will ever open up and really allow you. He has another child, does he not?
Yes. Well, one that he keeps in contact with.
Okay.
The other ones he's just like cut himself off from.
Because, see, I'm not sure that your father wants a relationship with his children, honey. I'm not sure that he wants that. I'm not sure that he thinks he can handle it. The things that come with that. He just doesn't appear to have the skills to do that. Okay. All right. Where do we go next?
This picture.
It's your mom? And this is your little brother?
Yeah.
And your mom and dad are divorced, correct?
Yeah.
And this is her son through another marriage? Yeah, that's the way it reads. I feel like your mom's like a little computer where her mind goes all the time, but her printout doesn't work. So she has a real hard time ventilating disappointment and anger. She's a real sensitive person and a real good human being, Sometimes tries too hard to get things to work out the way that they should. Too hard. And I think that she's learning in her life to not feel like she has to fix everything. She's a perpetual fixer. All right. In many ways, you're more mature than your mother. So in many ways, you'll probably not really feel as if she provided a real mother role. And in many ways she didn't. It's real hard for her to sit down, and she felt very victimized by your father and has been victimized in many relationships, and whether they've been personal or work related, being taken advantage a lot of. And a lot of you not taking stands comes directly from your mother. And because she would sit and watch things and know what she needed to do, but it would get on such a roll that she couldn't stop it. And I think your mother is somewhat happier now than she has been in the past, but has a lot of ups and downs in relationships, anything involving romance. Health is basically good, but she watches out for ulcers. Tendency to have stomach problems, digestive problems, stuff in that part of her body.
What do you see as far as in her love life? Anything new?
She is divorced, is she not?
Well, she's remarried. She's still married.
I don't think they're going to be married. She reads as if there's a second divorce coming. And she reads as if there's another issue with disappointment around romance and what happened by the beginning of 93. So I'm going to tell you, no, she's not going to be in this relationship.
What do you see happening with my brother?
Well, I see counseling first, because I believe he's going to need. He's a good kid that bounces back and forth from being an adult to being spoiled. You know, he knows some things and has to handle some things automatically that would be very difficult for children, but yet he can be very dominating and ruling. That's how he's learned how to survive in a situation that isn't good for him. Counseling will be in his life within probably the next 2 years. Your mother could hold on to this marriage till 94, but I think she'll divorce in 93. So she could cling on a little bit longer, trying to make it work. You know, not really processing that she has choices, that she has the choice to do what's right for her.
Do you see him being with her?
I see them splitting the time. All right. And I think that's more the child's decision. All right. But I do see counseling for your brother.
What about for my mom?
Your mom needs it, baby, but she may not go into counseling until late 93 or 94. Your stepfather is not going to allow her to deal with anything at this present time. It takes his power away. And it will be after they separate before counseling will start for her. It's almost like she's coming to the point of how miserable can you be before you get out. You know? Mm-hmm. And she picks relationships that are very indifferent. You know, where it's like she's really alone. Mm-hmm. She's really out there by herself. And she's trying to figure out what does she do when she's out there by herself.
Do you see her remarried?
I think that she'll remarry, but I think it's in probably... Understand, she could be in that marriage 2 more years.
Right.
Understand that. She's so unhappy by 93. I don't see how she'd be able to stay in it, but she could out of sheer will and not wanting to be wrong again. She takes it as a personal failure, as if, you know, I should have been able to have done something. Well, you can't change people. They have to change themselves. 96 or 97, she'll remarry. If she divorces in 93, it'll be in 95. But the timing there is basically depends on how long she can go under this kind of stress and this kind of pain. Okay? I don't see a death around your mother or your brother. All right? Okay.
Where do you see me with this company?
I think you're going to leave. I don't think you'll leave right now. I think, like your friends, you'll leave in the fall. All right? Major reorganizations that are not being handled real well. Things not going extremely well in the business situation. I think that you could stay there but don't feel like you'll choose to. I think you'll go. I think you're going to go to a different position. Doing the same thing but in a different position. Okay. All right. Any questions that you would like to ask?
Do you see me in a sales position?
I think eventually, baby, you'll be more in management than sales. I don't think you'll continue to stay in sales. No, not after you leave this company. I do feel, how much college have you had?
I graduated.
All right, because I do feel you may go back and take a few courses here or there, but not for a degree-based situation. And I don't see you remaining in sales. I see you getting more into management end. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens about September, October.
Next year.
This year.
This year.
Mm-hmm. This company is going to have a real stumbling that takes place towards late summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll decide whether you're staying there or whether you go. You could have an opportunity to stay, and if you do, you'll move up in promotion. But you'll think very seriously about going, and I'm going to say you're going to opt to go. Although, excuse me, you won't be forced to. You can stay if you want. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Anything you'd like to ask?
That's it, I guess.
Okay.
Those are the major parts of my life.
Well,